President Zelensky is in Washington for talks with President Trump on the future of Ukraine. It follows Trump's summit with Vladimir Putin on Friday that wielded no agreement nor a ceasefire. Well, today he's accompanied by 6 European leaders and the head of NATO in a show of united support for Kyiv. Top of the agenda for the meeting this afternoon, then, are U.S. security guarantees for Ukraine and Putin's demands for Kyiv to give up the Donbass. Well, in the lead-up to that meeting with Trump, Zelensky met with the U.S. Special Envoy Keith Kellogg. Here's a bit of what he said during that talk.
We are thankful to the President for this invitation and the format of what we will have. It's important signals about security guarantees, and that's why it's important that we are together with the United States and Europe, and we will speak about the architecture. I think so. We will have time to speak about architecture of security guarantees, and this is what really, I think, the most important.
Well, let's cross to Kyiv now, where our correspondent Emmanuelle Chaze is standing by for us. Emmanuelle, what are Ukrainians expecting from this meeting today? Are they feeling optimistic on the whole?
I wouldn't say Ukrainians are optimistic. First off, because the memory of the previous meeting between Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump in the White House in February 28th this year is a really vivid memory of humiliation. Talking about security guarantees, Ukrainians would like to know what exactly would that entail. And also, of course, it's been decades that Ukraine had been promised it would be protected and its borders would be respected, not least when Ukraine abandoned its nuclear arsenal during the Memorandum of Budapest in 1994, and even more so when a treaty was signed in April 2004 by no other than Vladimir Putin, who had recognized the borders of Ukraine as they are enshrined in the Ukrainian constitution since the independence of the country. And it's really this crucial question of territorial integrity that Ukrainians are looking at right now. They wonder what Donald Trump will expect Volodymyr Zelensky to agree upon, because time and again Volodymyr Zelensky said that it would not be possible for Ukraine to legally acknowledge the loss of what amounts to around 20% of its territories. If we look at what is already illegally occupied by Russia, and even less so, Ukraine wouldn't agree to give up Donbass, to give up the remaining 30% of the Donetsk region, which is still under Ukrainian control, because this would amount to also abandoning the tens of thousands of people, civilians, who are still living in the region and who do not live currently under Russian occupation. So there's a lot of, anticipation. I wouldn't say optimism. I would rather say worry here in Kyiv.
And in the meantime, not much has changed on the ground, has it? I mean, Russia launched new drone attacks on Ukraine, and there have been some Ukrainian strikes on Russian sites as well. Bring us up to speed on that.
Absolutely. Well, first off, Ukrainians woke up to the news not only of the trip to Washington of their president, but also of new strikes against a number of Ukrainian cities overnight with drones and missiles. In the city of Kharkiv, there's at least 6 people who died. Over 17 were injured, including the people who died. There was a 1-year-old child among the injured, 6 children when a residential building was hit in the Zaporizhia city. 3 people died, over 20 were injured in those strikes. This is just to show, we've been reporting on those strikes day in, day out, and those strikes do not stop, and neither does the Russian offensive on the front line. And Ukraine is also trying to defend itself by striking Russia in its economic heart, I shall say. We know that in an oil pumping station, that's the general staff of the army here in Ukraine, which reported it, an oil refinery station has been hit in the region of Tambov in Russia, and those strikes are usually long-range strikes by Ukraine. They show that Kyiv also wants to, hinder Russia's war effort by trying to grip the machine, by crippling the Russian economy, but also preventing oil refineries from bringing petrol to troops, and in doing so, trying to grip the Russian army in its advances here in the country.
All right, Emmanuelle will, of course, be continuing to check in with you as that meeting gets underway later today. But for now, thank you.